Videos. Hopefully you guys are doing well. So basically, I've gotten a lot of comments from the last video on you guys wanting like a part two of the call that I've had with this client and how we have a follow-up call. So yeah, obviously this isn't the same client, but this is one of the follow-ups. So you guys can just get a little bit more clarity on like what you guys can do for follow-up calls in general. So yeah, without further ado, let's just pretty much jump straight into it here, guys.
Doing great. Can't
This
complain
meeting
at all.
is being recorded.
How's your day been so far?
Good.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So yeah, I know we talked about it on the phone call a little bit earlier today. Obviously, me and my developers were actually essentially creating a new system on top of what we're doing. So we came to a conclusion of wanting to give you a free trial, so that way you can experience everything yourself, right? I know you already had, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say a bad experience with House Call Pro. Just wasn't really going your way. So
And this is when we only had like 2 clients. So yeah, we just figured we'd give out free trials, see how they like it, and if they liked it, they would work with us from there. If that made sense.
Obviously, we came to the conclusion to essentially give you a trial. You can test out the systems for about 3 weeks. And at the end of the day, obviously, there's no commitment, right? So if it's something that you feel like isn't something that's going to really move the needle for you, we can definitely end off on good terms. But like I said, I want to make sure that you get the experience before investing in the first place. So that's what we want to do here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then remind me of your pricing. Let's just after the 3 weeks, if I want to keep it, what's it going to cost me on an ongoing basis?
Correct. So let me show you my screen. I just want to get some clarity. You remember what we talked about? I believe this was the last one.
Sometimes you just want to a good thing to do is sometimes ignore the prospect. Because, if I remind him about the pricing and stuff like that, he's going to be like, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's good to just ignore them and just, kind of find a way to dodge those questions, if that makes sense.
Let me see here real quick. I believe this was last week, Wednesday, so about 6 days ago. Just want to make sure you understand it. You have a little clarity of what we talked about, correct?
Yeah, I remember what we talked about. I just don't remember the pricing structure.
Okay, gotcha. Then I'll show you my screen here. Let me know if you can see it here. Let me know if you see my screen here.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So like I said, I'll just probably I'll skip through the fluff here. So the pricing itself was $1,500, right? So essentially how this would work is, like I said, we're going to do a free trial.
$1,500 per month?
No, just one. It's right here, implementation fee. So it's one time.
Okay. And then I guess this is what I forgot. And then what? And then there's no more cost after that ever?
No, so the only cost is the phone number, which is $1.15 per month. So that phone number.
This is just, this is why you guys don't, you want to make sure that you guys don't work with leads that have no money, because they're going to find ways to, lowball you and stuff like that. And it's just a headache in general. So, no matter how desperate you are trying to find, sign your first client and stuff like that, don't be desperate, just, make sure that, the client is, fit for you and your business. That's all that's something I would say.
It's essentially, automated messages, emails, on top of you getting your own system. So that's just kind of the plugin. But that's the only monthly charge, which is $1.15. But the $1,500 is in a month. It's a one time. But like I said, if that is still something that you feel like is a little on that pricier side, then like I said, this is kind of like the trial plan, right? So this is what we implemented. Typically, we'll start 3 weeks where we will work together for free, right? Where no contract signed, nothing, no investments at all. And like I said, there's no upfront commitment, right? So it's only an investment if you feel like the value is right for you, right? And once you're ready, right, if you want to definitely move forward in terms of having these systems in place, and like I said, we have flexible payments. So if you want to break that $1,500 in half, we can. So everything that we do here is feasible. So it's not really it's not $1,500 a month. Most companies do charge that, but that's not what we do here.
Okay.
Yeah. That's essentially it, right? So I just kind of want to get some clarity. So have you made any changes? I know it's been a week, but I just want to make sure, have you made any changes lately? You meet with any other companies?
Well, I told you, as I was discussing earlier, yes, I have. And I think I explained to you this morning, I'm working with a few different companies. They're all doing slightly different things for me. I have three different companies I'm kind of working with. A lot of it is not overlap with what you do, but some of it is. So let me just once again explain. So I have one guy who's
and they're currently they're working with you right here at the moment, right?
Yeah. So let me explain exactly what it is.
Sure.
One guy is creating is actually already extracted all of my data out of my Google Calendar and put it into a spreadsheet. So he or someone that works for him spent a couple of days and they extracted all that. So I think I explained to you that this business that I purchased had no CRM, had no database of customers. All it had was a Google Calendar program and Google Workspace suite of apps that all the customer data was in the Google Calendar going back about 12 or 13 years. So all the job information that existed, all the customer information that exists, if there's any information at all that existed inside that Google Calendar. So this gentleman and the people that he worked with, he had someone extract all that data, put it into a nice spreadsheet. First name, last name, email if the email was in the record, phone number if the phone number was in the record, date of last service and the cost of that last job. And so I now have, this was a huge deal for me, and they didn't even charge me to do it. I'm just paying him like a relatively small monthly fee and I can, and there's no commitment, there's no time, there's no contract. I'm paying him a small monthly fee for him to now utilize, to take that data and create 2 separate marketing campaigns or really 1 marketing campaign and 1 review campaign for me. So he's going to, when we're ready, hasn't done anything yet, but we're going to do a review campaign where not all at once, but he's going to go back in time and he's going to, do maybe, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 people a week. He's going to, my customers, he's going to ask them to leave a review. So that we're going to try to build up my Google reviews through this process over time. That's one thing he's going to do. So we're going to and then the second thing, second thing he's going to do is create a marketing campaign. And particularly we discussed, for the winter, since it's slow, maybe at the first campaign would be like something like this, sending out a text message. So he also is going to create a phone number for me, like you were going to do, that would allow us to do this kind of interaction. Create a phone number, reach back out to the customers and say, hey, something like, hey, this is Window Doctor. We're offering
so he's pretty much calling for you on his behalf, like personally.
He's going to create a text message campaign on my behalf. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And then emails as well.
And that, I mean, most of the entries, I think we have everybody's most of it. So he ended up basically extracting all the data out of the calendar and then kind of deleting duplicates. When he did that, or maybe it wasn't him, but someone who works for him, they kicked out all the duplicates, and we came up with somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 unique customers. And most of those records have phone numbers. Most of them do not have email addresses, just because the previous owner of my business, had everybody's phone number for the most part, but not everybody's email addresses. So again, I'm paying this guy, just kind of when you try him out for a couple months, it's very expensive. It's, very costly. I mean, just the fact that he already was able to extract that data for me was worth a couple months of what I'm going to probably pay him to run these kind of campaigns for me. Obviously the value is there because every review that he can extract, every 5-star review that he can add to my Google profile is worth a significant amount of money, to me. And it's going to be worth a lot more than what I pay him. And he's got some good ideas about how he does. This is what he does. He runs these types of campaigns for businesses. He tries to beef up their Google reviews. So that's the one prong. The second prong is eventually, right now it's going to rain here for the next week. So we felt it wasn't a good idea to try to do any kind of marketing for jobs this week because it would probably, no one wants to get their windows washed when it's raining. So eventually when the rains subside in a week or two, we're probably going to run something like a winter special. We're going to go back and we'll run a text message campaign. He's going to do all this for me. I just basically have to approve the campaign. And then he's going to do all the work. And it's going to be something like, hey, this is Window Doctor. We're reaching out to all our valued loyal customers. We're offering $100 off for window cleaning if you get your windows cleaned within the next 30 days or something, something like that. So all that stuff that I described to you is one company that I've.
So he's talking a lot, which is good, which is obviously a very good thing. You guys want to make sure that your clients and your leads are talking more than you are. So that's a very good thing. But there's a lot of key points that that he's mentioning that I need to touch upon. So what you want to do is, even if people are rambling, if they're rambling on with a lot of key points and information, you want to make sure that you cut them off and be like, okay, cool. Wait. Just don't be like that. You obviously want to be like, okay, cool. Sorry to cut you off there. You mentioned this and that and this XYZ. Tell me a little bit more about that, if that makes sense, because you don't want to be like, oh, he said this is very important, that's important, this is important, that's very important. And you miss on those specific key points and topics because you just let this guy ramble, right? Sometimes, if they're rambling about one topic and they're just rambling about that, it's good. But if they're rambling about multiple topics, very important topics especially, cut them off and just dive a little bit more deep into that.
Engaged to do that stuff for me. Another guy.
Are they currently doing that, or are you kind of in the talks of doing that as well?
No. He's already extracted the data from Google Calendar and put it into a nice clean database for me. I've already got that file, so I can use it any way I want moving forward, which is awesome. It saves someone a ton of time. And then the review campaign is going to begin this week. And then the marketing campaign about the winter special, $100 off your next cleaning. We're going to run that starting later this month when the weather gets better. So that's happening. That is already in the works. So that's one guy. Another guy I'm talking to is going to just work on commission for me. He's going to create a Google ad for my business. He's going to pay for all the Google advertising.
Ooh, okay.
And I just have to pay him a commission on every job that we land that comes through his Google ad. Okay. So again, he's going to do all the work. He's going to pay for all the advertising. and I just give him a percentage that we're going to agree upon for every job that he brings me. Like he's like basically like he's like a salesman, basically creating a Google marketing campaign, and I just pay him if and only if he actually brings me jobs. So that's like another guy doing that whole thing, separate from the first campaign I was talking about.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, thanks for telling me that. You know, it gives me a lot of clarity now. So just to give you a little, obviously I'm not going to say like, oh, like we're so different from this, right? So, you know, obviously just to give you some clarity, we do exactly what you just mentioned in terms of those two companies, right? Obviously we're not going to run ads for you because I mean, at the end of the day, we got to make sure that you have the foundation first before you start running. So if you run ads, yes, you may or may not get clients, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a foundation set up, you're still going to be, you know, manually having to handle those leads until you have a foundation set up, right? So, and like I said, it's great. You know, obviously those Google reviews, we can definitely help you out. And because I mean, mind you not, if you beef up those Google reviews by itself, not only will you not have to pay for marketing and you know, pay for ad spend, all that's just going to come in organically because when someone types in window washing near me, you're going to be at the top of the list of SEO. So that's exactly what we can optimize for. And I know you're already working with the company. But like I said, we want to make sure that we can also do that for you as well. So let me show you my screen here. I want to kind of show you exactly what I want to show you on how we're a little bit more different in terms of what you've shared. So this is kind of what we did for a you know, one of our clients, right? So they're based in North Carolina. They're called Market Window Cleaning. I mean, if you want to call them as well, I mean, they're one of our clients, you can, but this is how it essentially works, right? So let's say that, you know, you're essentially having it more organized, right? So obviously you can see like there's your request, appointment book, in progress, complete, paid. So now you're essentially tracking everything in terms of this. Like I said, you'll also get your own calendar as well. So, I mean, you know, I'm not too sure how exactly the other guy has kind of like integrated.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I got a work call here. I just want to, can you just excuse me while I take it?
Go ahead.
This is Andy at Woodland Park.
No, where does
Absolutely.
I mean,
I just was looking for an agency, so would it be possible? Yeah, no problem at all. But could you just like send a text message with your address, and then you can get it, start the homes and do a post, hopefully online, and see that logo every time I put your post.
they went back, they're putting in picture back in.
Just like you can email. No problem. You just email me. Yeah, email me, bro.
Yeah, he's taking a work call, so I'm just gonna skip ahead.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
was an actual call. So that was a residential real estate broker who is, you know, we do a lot of that. We have a lot of San Francisco real estate agents that use our company to clean all their homes when they're selling a home. People have, when a broker gets a new listing and they have an open house and they they have to like buff the house out to make it look perfect for, you know, for the open house or for showings, right? They want to make the house look obviously as clean as possible. So we do a ton of that. And so that was a real estate broker who has a house a new listing, and she wants us to come clean the windows. And she wants to get a quote. But yeah, we do. I'd say real estate brokers are our best customers because we probably have at least a couple dozen of them that will call our company to get their windows professionally cleaned before they sell homes. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, just going back to the screen, right? So like I said, I'm not too exactly sure how the other guy had kind of like got the data for the calendar and integrated it onto the Excel spreadsheet. Not too sure if that was kind of like manually, but like for us,
I think I don't know how he did it either, but he had someone spend some time doing it.
And for us, I mean, we can pretty much auto-populate all that data in a few buttons. So if we just come in here and obviously add your calendar, as you can see, this is already added, like his Google calendar is already added. So that's pretty much the same scenario we'll do with you. So all that historical data, whether that's back in like 2016, right, or when the business first opened, it's going to automatically be auto-populated into the calendar, which is going to be right here, right? So we come back, you pretty much get your old calendar. So now that you don't really have to essentially, you know, like you can still go on Google Calendar, yes, but I mean at the end of the day, you know, like you'll still have like all your appointments here. So now you can just come into this like system and pretty much see all your appointments coming here. If that makes sense. So you don't have to like toggle back and forth and for Google Calendar.
Yeah. So the Google Calendar data will all be migrated into this calendar so that I can use this calendar as my overall.
Correct. So and not only this, right? Not only will it auto-populate, like I said, you know, we'll definitely integrate automated messages, email campaigns, marketing campaigns as well. Kind of like what the other guy is doing, right? But we have a little bit more special features just because, you know, you actually.
Yeah. No. I mean, the guy that I'm working with who we're talking about here, he's not doing any of this kind of thing for me. Like I said, he's running a more limit. That's why I said that some of the stuff that he's doing there may be a little overlap with what you do, but there's also a lot more that you know. He's not talking about building me a CRM. He's not talking about you know, a whole system to manage my business. He's like focusing more on, like I said, like.
Yeah, but I mean that's
reaching out to past customers for reviews and marketing opportunities. That's it.
Yeah, but that could be a problem, right? I mean, and you mind me if I give you a quick perspective on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I mean, as a business owner yourself, right, you got to understand that you need to see everything that's going on with the business. I mean, if you have someone that's, you know, let's say doing marketing for you, right, but you don't know what type of ads are going out, then that could be an issue, right? Because you want to make sure that you know.
I mean, I know exactly what ads are going out because I'm approving every ad before it goes out, and I'm not just letting them go take my data and just run mystery campaigns. I'm approving every word, and we have a strategy as to, you know, we're working on together. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not just letting him go nuts, so yeah, I wanted to make sure that you're clear about that. I'm not,
And 100%. I mean,
it's not just,
yeah, and I like that you're testing out different phases and different areas on what you feel like could be most beneficial for you. And like I said, right, there's no upfront commitment, there's no contracts at all to sign. Obviously you can try us for 3 weeks, see if it's even beneficial, and even if it's not something that you want to look for in terms of working with us, right? I mean, you still have 2 other guys that you can work with, right? In terms of what they're
no, and I have to say that the ability to for me to try it out for 3 weeks is 100% like much more palatable, because I'm the people that I do work with have to, like, they typically have to give me something like that before, like, I'm very apprehensive. In other words, I'm handing over a bunch of money to someone or to a system that is kind of unproven and unknown. Whether it's good or not is not even the point. It's just an unknown entity. And I don't have any, experience or kind of way to I'm just not comfortable handing over money to strangers or to new things without kind of a proven track record.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get it, because maybe one thing can work for someone else, but you don't know if it's going to work for you, and that's the reason.
Yeah, and I might not, and I might, like with my experience with House Call Pro, I might just find it. I don't know. I might not like it, and I might just say, you know what, I'm glad I tried it, but this isn't, like, I don't really see the benefit. Now, I'm hoping that obviously I have a very different, conclusion after 3 weeks of using yours, but I do appreciate 100% the ability to try it out.
Yeah, no,
if I can see the value in it, then of course $1,500 is going to be well worth it.
That's the reason why I need to call in the first place, right? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I would probably, the answer was no. If I had to cut the check up front and then just hope it would be something that I like, and that's just too risky, but to have a trial period of 3 weeks, that'll help me, figure out if I can see the value in it.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, right, if I come back here as well, I know I showed you this. Cut off the flub. You're still gonna get the same treatment as if you paid us or not, right? I mean, we're still gonna make sure that you get as much experience, and it's gonna be a trial, right? I mean, it's the same thing as you paying for a Netflix trial subscription. You're still gonna get all the features, and we're gonna make sure that we're gonna help you. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still gonna get a dedicated client success manager. I'll help you one-on-one. You're gonna get your own communications channel as well. Not too sure if you heard of Slack, but you'll get your own specific channel, so that way me and you and our developers can pretty much communicate one-on-one. Like I said, you'll also get video updates as well, and we'll have bi-weekly update calls. So we'll probably have 2 or 1 call, just to make sure that everything's up and running, to kind of check in on you. But you're still gonna get the same treatment as if you paid the $1,500, right? So you're still gonna get everything the same.
So I guess, earlier today, after we spoke in the morning, you sent me an email with, information about our call later today. And there was a video that you linked to that kind of explained what you guys do. And I watched it again, and, everything you say makes sense, the bottlenecking, all that kind of stuff, those are totally true. I find that I've hit those kinds of walls, just manually doing shit all the time. So you were very clear at identifying the problems, right? That businesses like myself, small base. But what I wasn't so clear on, what I didn't really understand in that video, or to me, it wasn't very clearly explained as to, well, yeah, you're going to create this system that's going to eliminate all those bottlenecks. But I'm not really clear as to what it is that, how, like what, what's the specifics that's going to just make my life so much better. I mean, if I spend the money to have you guys do this, what specifically is so great about this? How are you going to what are these things? Why is it that these, how is it that it's going to just save me so much time?
Yeah.
I haven't really seen a demo as to, the financial aspect, the count, booking appointments, the follow, all these kinds of specific aspects of the, of your system. There's not a lot of mention of the specifics of the solution.
Yeah,
you identified the problems, in other words, but you didn't really get into the solution very specifically.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I kind of left that out in the video, because a lot of people and a lot of other clients, ask the same question as well, right? You're not the only person. And the biggest thing for that is, don't think about it as a system. Don't even think about it as like an automation in place. Think about it as more so like, you saving your time and you can bring in more revenue at the same time, right? For example, think about how many other, just think about the historical data you have, right? Like a lot of clients think like, oh, I gotta get more new clients in, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta make sure you have that foundation first. You convert those old clients, and now that's pretty much old revenue that you can bring in back, right? So not only is these systems in place, making sure that you're saving tons of time, right? Because I mean, think about how much time you're spending a day just toggling back and forth on Google Calendar, putting in their information manually, and some of the time it's not even organized. So just think about how much time you're just kind of like sometimes just sitting there like, oh, did I call this person? Did I not? Like, that's a waste of time. So you want to make sure that you're more organized, and these systems not only help you stay more organized, but it's also going to help you save more time and make more money, because that's the only thing that you guys care.
Yeah, no, I guess, no, you're 100% correct. I guess when we start getting into this 3 weeks, that's when I'll start to learn the system that's going to save me this time that you're talking about.
Yeah, and the only risk
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, the only risk there is on our side, right? I mean, we spend a lot of time to help you put these systems in place. Typically, it takes us about 4 to 5 days to fully create these functioning systems. So not only are we spending our time on our end, I mean, the only risk for you is just, I guess, a little bit of time wasted, right?
No, so I know. I guess I'm just still not. Well, I guess we'll find out. Is what I'm saying here. I'm still not really sure. Exactly how it works. what is this? What are, how am I going to be interacting with this? What's it going to look like? And one thing you guys talked about is automating scheduling, for example. This is one little thing amongst many, but like allowing customers to like go in and book appointments and stuff on their own, which in theory sounds great, but in reality, I think I may have mentioned this to her, I may not have, but in reality, that's not probably going. I'm probably never going to get to an automated like customers book appointments on their own, because there's so many things I need to take into consideration before I allow someone to book an appointment. Right? Geography. I need to, I don't want someone booking an appointment, 20 miles from another one, at the same time, at a different, whatever. There's the geographical considerations. There's also my staffing considerations. There's the time of day considerations. There's a lot that I need to kind of, before I actually say, I got to kind of, so I think that automation in terms of scheduling, I don't think that's going to, that's just something that's probably not going to be, that's going to be one thing that we're probably not going to, we're not going to do that on my behalf.
Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, I mean, everything here is custom, right? So if you don't want specific things or specific systems, then we don't have to implement that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's, less time for us to create that system. And obviously, if you feel like that's more optimizable for you, then 100%, we'll definitely do that. I mean, we don't need to implement that. So let's do this, right? I just want to get some clarity. Are you sure you want to do the trial? I mean, we can pretty much get started going right away. Okay, perfect. So
again, I don't see any downside, like you said. I mean, the downside is on your end because you're going to spend time on it. I hope that you guys present me with something where I'm like, like where I see the value in it. Like, this is going to save me, like you said, like I need to be shown that it's going to really work for me. If you can prove that, if I can see that the value in the system and how it, is going to work for me on a day in and day out basis, and save me time, save me a lot of time over time. Then the 1,500 is going to be well worth it. I'm just because I haven't seen it and I don't know what it is. You show me some brief screenshots and stuff, but I still don't. I'm still kind of curious to see how it's going to really improve my workflow.
Yeah, 100%. So let's do this. I'm going to share you my screen. And honestly, I'm not going to, like I said, no upfront commitment, no contracts. Typically, what's going to go is I'm going to be sending you over this link right now. So give me a quick second here. Going to be showing you over this. So while we're on the call, typically what I do with clients is I usually have them fill in this form here. So it's pretty much like the form start date, with your full name, like business. So it's kind of like the information for us to gather before we get started, right? So kind of like the business name, the business phone number, the business address as well. So if you want to do this on the call, we can. I typically have the clients we onboard do this on the call. It doesn't take too much time. So give me a quick second here while I send this over to you. And then once that form is filled out, you'll automatically get an automated invitation on your email. With a Slack invitation. So you know what Slack is, correct? Like the communication.
Yeah, I've used Slack before. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you'll get like your own designated Slack communication, and I'll be adding in. We're a team of 10 developers, right? So you'll be specifically working with 2 specific developers on the team that I'll be assigning to you. So it'll be me, you, and the 2 developers that will be working together to create the system for you on. And if you ever need any questions, then you can definitely reach out to me on that designated Slack channel and create for you, right? So let me shoot you this link here. And then while you fill that form out, I'll be creating you your Slack channel right now. So give me a quick second while I send it over to you. Let me know if that link came through.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So fill that form out, and then obviously.
Starting today?
Huh?
Starting with today's date?
Because typically what we do is once you fill out the form, we're gonna hop on a onboarding call. So the onboarding call is typically a little bit more of like the information that the developers need. So this is the information for me to create your system pretty much today, right? So let's start with this. Let's start with the onboarding call. So I'll show you my screen here. I just want to make sure that I find a good time for you. So I do have availability for tomorrow to pretty much meet. If not, I do have Thursday as well. That works best for you.
I could do, let's see, tomorrow. Yeah, I could do 8. I mean, is 8 a.m. available? I typically like to take my meetings first thing in the morning or like later in the day.
Okay, 8 a.m. I don't have 8 a.m.
Not 8. Okay.
I do have an 8 a.m.
Yeah, so that'll probably just be the end of the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this gives you guys a little bit more clarity and like context of like how everything works and like what you guys should be doing on a follow-up. I'm just gonna skip the rest of the video just because like it's some bullshit. I already went through the whole call and it's just like me saying nonsense, and it's not something that you guys really should need to focus on. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you guys have any specific questions. Leave it down in the comments below. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.